Listen up, because in the next few minutes, I am going to save you hundreds of dollars and permanently solve the most frustrating pest problem in your home. If you are still reaching for a toxic can of bug spray every time you see a line of ants marching across your kitchen counter, you are playing a losing game. Those contact chemical sprays are a designed, miserable failure. They are formulated for instant kill, which means they only wipe out the workers, the entirely expendable errand runners of the colony. Meanwhile, the queen is locked away safely, deep inside your walls or under your foundation, frantically pumping out eggs to replace every single ant you just sprayed. Today, I'm going to show you how to wipe out that entire kingdom, assassinate the hidden queen, and collapse the nest from the inside out using a $4 box of powder sitting right now in the laundry aisle of almost every grocery store in America. No toxic chemical clouds, no expensive exterminator contracts, just ruthless biological warfare and a foolproof dual bait system. I'm going to show you the exact biological mechanism behind why this works, the absolute golden ratio you must follow, and the biological dietary shift that dictates exactly which bait you need to use. To understand how to destroy a colony, you have to understand why everything you've done so far has failed. When you see a thin black line of ants moving across your kitchen island, your brain tricks you into thinking the ants in front of you are the root of the problem. So, you grab the spray and go to war. They curl up. They die instantly. But the next morning, you walk downstairs to brew your coffee, and that exact same line is back, marching right over the same trail. Here is the biological reality. The ants you see on your counter are not the colony. They represent maybe 5 to 10% of the total population. They are foragers, sterile female workers sent out of the nest to gather calories. The real house is hidden where your eyes and your chemical sprays can never reach it. It's under your thresholds, deep in wall voids, under floorboards, or buried in your foundation. In the dark sits the queen, surrounded by thousands of larvae, pupae, and a massive reserve of backup workers. And the secret weapon we are going to use is borax, scientifically known as sodium tetrabrate. It's a naturally occurring white powder mineral, mined from dry salt lakes out west, and it's been a staple in American laundry rooms for a century. It costs about $4 a box, and one box will last you a lifetime. Here is the hard science on why borax succeeds where a $20 can of chemical spray fails. Borax is a slow-acting stomach poison. It is not an acute neurotoxin that causes instant paralysis. When a worker ant consumes borax-laced bait, she doesn't roll over and die on your counter. That delayed reaction is the entire secret to our success. Borax enters the digestive tract silently. For the next 24 to 48 hours, that ant feels completely fine. And because she feels fine, she does exactly what her biological instincts demand. She carries that food back to the hidden nest. When that forager returns to the colony, a fascinating and deadly biological process takes place. It's a process called Trophallaxis. Trophallaxis is the mouth-to-mouth exchange of food and fluids between nestmates. Ants don't just eat for themselves. Foragers have two stomachs. A personal stomach, where a small amount of food is digested for her own energy, and a social stomach, where the bulk of the liquid bait is safely stored. When the ant enters the nest, she regurgitates the contents of her social stomach, passing drops of liquid to the reserve workers at home, to the nurse ants caring for the larvae, directly to the developing brood, and ultimately, hand-feeding the queen herself. Because borax is slow-acting, one poisoned ant can distribute the toxin to dozens of nestmates before she has any symptoms. In just a few hours, the borax breaks down the digestive systems and exoskeletons of the entire colony from the inside out. The queen's reproductive system shuts down. She stops laying eggs, and she dies. With no queen to replenish the population, the colony inevitably and rapidly collapses from within until the trail on your counter completely vanishes. To execute this effectively, we can't just blindly sprinkle powder on the floor. We have to deliver the borax in a bait matrix that the ants have an extreme demand to consume. This requires a two-step system. because a colony's nutritional demands shift based on the season and their reproductive cycle. Step 1. The sweet bait and the golden ratio. Most of the time, the ants invading your kitchen are craving carbohydrates. They need instant, high-octane energy to fuel their foraging runs, which is why they swarm a sugar spill, a honey jar, or your fruit. For this, we are going to create the sweet bait. You need white granulated sugar, warm water, your box of borax, and some cotton balls. This is the absolute most critical part. Exactly 1 part borax to 3 parts sugar. Do not think that adding more poison will kill them faster. If you get greedy and mix a 50/50 ratio, you will fail. Ants have incredibly sensitive chemoreceptors. If the borax concentration is too high, the bait becomes highly repellent. The ants will detect the mineral, trigger an alarm pheromone, pull a U-turn, and completely ignore your bait. If you use too little borax, the toxic payload is too weak. The ant will metabolize that low dose, or it will take weeks to impact the colony. Giving the queen plenty of time to adapt. 1 part borax, 3 parts sugar. This is the scientifically proven sweet spot. It is the exact threshold where the sugar perfectly masks the taste of the borax, convincing the ants to gorge themselves, while still packing enough lethal density to assassinate the queen. In a small bowl, mix 1 tablespoon of borax with 3 tablespoons of white sugar. Add just enough warm water, about a 1/4 cup, and stir aggressively until both the sugar and the borax completely dissolve. Warm water is mandatory because it breaks down the granular structure faster, leaving you with a clear, smooth syrup with a pancake batter consistency. If it's still gritty at the bottom, keep stirring. Take a few cotton balls and submerge them in the syrup until they are saturated and heavy. The cotton acts as the perfect feeding matrix. It holds the moisture, prevents the syrup from evaporating too quickly, and gives the ants a safe platform to stand on and drink massive amounts of liquid bait without drowning in a sticky puddle. Place these loaded cotton balls exactly on the trails where the ants are marching. Put them tight against baseboards, on windowsills, or right next to the crevice where they are pouring into your kitchen. But sometimes, you mix the sweet bait perfectly. Place it right on their highway, and the ants completely ignore it. People see this. Panic. Assume the method is a scam, and immediately grab the toxic spray again. Do not panic. You are simply witnessing a biological shift in the colony's nutritional needs. Ants don't live on carbs alone. At certain points in their life cycle, especially during heavy larval development or when the colony is preparing for a temperature shift, their dietary needs pull a 180. They stop craving carbohydrates and frantically hunt for protein and lipids. They need dense, structural calories to feed a rapidly growing brood. If your sugar bait is ignored, you must immediately pivot to the fat bait. Go to your pantry and grab a jar of smooth peanut butter. Peanut butter is an incredibly dense source of lipids and protein. Take a spoonful of peanut butter and mix in a very tiny pinch of borax. Remember, the ratio must be kept incredibly low so you don't trigger their chemical avoidance reaction. Mix the borax thoroughly into the peanut butter until it's completely blended. Take pea-sized amounts of this laced peanut butter and place them on little squares of wax paper, inside bottle caps, or directly along their foraging routes. The mineral compound works exactly the same, whether it's dissolved in sugar water or suspended in peanut oil. The ant just needs to swallow it and carry it home via Trophallaxis. By utilizing both the sweet bait and the fat bait, you are systematically covering the entire spectrum of the colony's biological needs. You are handing them a menu of death they cannot refuse. Within an hour of placing the borax bait, the scouts will find the food. They will gorge themselves, sprint back to the nest, lay down a heavy, highly concentrated chemical pheromone trail, and alert the entire colony. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, that thin line of ants on your kitchen counter is going to explode into an absolute nightmare. You are going to see hundreds, possibly thousands of ants swarming those cotton balls. The trail will turn into a solid black highway choked with insects. Your kitchen will look 10 times worse than before you started. If you kill the swarming ants, you have just cut your own supply lines. You have killed the delivery drivers before they could hand off the poison to the queen. You have broken the biological chain. You have to look at that massive, terrifying swarm and realize that it isn't a failure, it is the ultimate sign of victory. It means the system is working perfectly. It means the pheromone trail is triggered. The colony took the bait. And thousands of workers are busting their backs, hauling lethal stomach poison deep into your walls to hand-feed the queen. By the end of the second day, you will notice a drastic shift. The dense, black highway choked with ants will start thinning out. By day 3, you will see just a few stragglers, staggering around, walking in confused circles. Their pheromone trails are breaking down because the nest structure behind the walls is in total collapse. The nurse ants are dead. The larvae are dead. And the queen has been eliminated. By day 4, your kitchen counters will be absolutely spotless. The colony is eradicated. The problem is destroyed at the root, and it only cost you exactly $4 and 2 days of mental fortitude. Before you execute this protocol, we need to talk about reality and safety. While this method entirely eliminates the need to spray volatile neurotoxins onto the countertops where you prep food for your family, borax is still a toxic substance. It is a slow-acting poison. It carries significantly lower toxicity than the harsh synthetic chemicals sold in aerosol cans. But it is not entirely harmless. If ingested in large quantities, it will make humans or animals sick. Because of this, you must apply basic, conscious safety rules. Do not place these baits in the middle of the floor where a toddler or a hungry golden retriever can lick them up. Track the ants to naturally protected areas. Shove the baited cotton balls or peanut butter wax paper deep behind the stove. Push them into the dark back corners of lower cabinets. Or slide them under the dishwasher, places where only an insect the size of a grain of rice can physically access. When you are done mixing your 1-to-3 ratio, wash the bowl and wash your hands thoroughly. Drop your trap right on their highway. And then let the ants carry their own destruction right through the front doors of their hidden fortress. Buy the powder, set the trap, and take back your kitchen.